called to self-defense as well as recommendations to national problems on the issue of security. Good day and welcome to another episode of the News Hour on Metro TV. I am Emmanuel Oladipo. As the first episode for the year 2021, we bring you an editorial titled Stemming the Tides of Killer Open Grazing Business in Nigeria in 21st Century. In this report, we look into the modern way of doing cattle rearing business across the world, the several havocs wreaked so far in Nigeria by the Fulani herdsmen, sectional leadership from the federal government of Nigeria which serves as support for the Fulani herdsmen and as negligence to other tribes in the country, call to self-defense as well as recommendations to national problems on the issue of security. Stay with us. Welcome back. Livestock have played a pivotal role in the development of human civilizations around the world and continues to play the same role in present-day local and global economy by increasing the amount of food and nutrition available to people in few ways, such as being a rich source of protein, food and fertilizer, a good source of raw materials for the leather and clothing industry, and the provision of employment to those who keep it. According to Ima O. Chukwuemeka, Aduma Aloysius and Maximus I. Ene, quote, the growth of animal husbandry, including greater use of manure from livestock as fertilizer, was the first of four factors that contributed to the agricultural revolution that ended the cycle of that and hunger that afflicted Europe for centuries, unquote. For this reason, Ima et al. Posited that it was imperative that society, both at local and global levels, find a way of maintaining a steady production of livestock. In Nigeria, livestock keeping is known across all cultures, just like in other parts of the world, as the industry continues to provide world-growing population with sustainable protein food, which now resort to opening up new uncultivated lands for grazing. Unfortunately, increasing population across the world, especially in Nigeria, is also making demands for livestock to increase daily. Hence, herdsmen are intensifying their business as it experiences boom. According to Ima et al., quote, the Fulani own over 90% of the nation's livestock population, which accounts for 1/3 of agricultural GDP and 3.2% of the nation's GDP, and so their contribution to the local food chain and national food security cannot be overstressed. By constituting the major breeders of cattle, the main source of meat, the most available and cheap source of animal proteins consumed by Nigerians, they indisputably represent a significant component of the Nigerian economy. The Fulani are undoubtedly the largest pastoral nomadic group in the world, herding goats, camels, sheep, horse, mule, and cattle. With their dominance in the Sahel region, they are the best known and most numerous of all the pastoral groups in Nigeria, unquote. However, despite the necessity of the services of these Fulanis, who are divided between being pastoral and nomadic, open grazing, the norm for nomadic Fulanis, have been causing mayhem across Nigeria for years without a singular prosecution from the federal government. As a result of the unabated mayhem, therefore, nationalists have been calling for the initiation of cattle ranching across states of the Federation, a suggestion with the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, a loose partisan advocacy group centered on promoting the welfare of Fulani pastoralists in Nigeria, continuously kick against until recently, when individuals begin to lead people on self-defense missions against killer Fulani herdsmen. Also, the federal government of Nigeria, under President Muhammad Buhari, is known to treat havocs that are Fulani herdsmen related with kid gloves so much that his administration, at the commencement of his second term, introduced a rural grazing area rural settlement policy that was eventually truncated by both the Yorubas and the Igbos, who see the policy as a subtle attempt by President Buhari, a pastoral Fulani himself and grand patron of the Miyetti Allah, to sell their ancestral lands to foreigners who are known for pillaging and living an uncivilized life that is against the civilization of the Yorubas and the Igbos. Opposing voices to the legal settlement, however, opted for the banning of open grazing across the country, especially in the southern and western Nigeria, something which the federal government did not give credence until Chief Sunday Adeyemo aka Sunday Igboho rose in defense of his kinsmen against the assault of Fulani herdsmen in Yoruba lands, and the Eastern Security Network floated by Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, began to flush Fulani herdsmen out of the forest in the southern region.
Gbogbo àwọn tá a bá fi tinú tàbí gbó ti Yorùbá tá a dẹ̀ wó pé ìyà gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ àwọn bàbá wa àtàwọn tiwa, ìyà òde gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ ilẹ̀ àwọn bàbá wa lẹ̀ Yorùbá yìí. Ọlọ́run ti ká jàjà yìí. Àṣẹ sọ ogun ti dé láàrin Fúlàní àti Yorùbá báyìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni ṣùgbọ́n àní gbogbo lọ.
Although cattle ranching is not without its disadvantages, its implementation and enforcement by the Southwest and Middle-Belt governors will surely put an end to the wanton destruction of lives and properties being perpetrated by the marauding Fulani herdsmen, give controlling power and monitoring efficiency to the governors to step up security for their citizens, as well as prevent famine from taking hold of the two regions in the country. It should be noted that the only non-negative effect associated with cattle ranching is deforestation. According to Worldwide Fund for Nature, quote, extensive cattle ranching is the #1 culprit of deforestation in virtually every Amazon country, and it accounts for 80% of current deforestation. Alone, the deforestation caused by cattle ranching is responsible for the release of 340 million tons of carbon to the atmosphere every year, equivalent to 3.4% of current global emissions. Beyond forest conversion, cattle pastures increase the risk of fire and are a significant degrader of riparian and aquatic ecosystems, causing soil erosion, river siltation, and contamination with organic matter. Trends indicate that livestock production is expanding in the Amazon, unquote. Report asserts that during the dry season between May to September, Brazil experiences multiple raging fires as a result of the practice of agricultural management for opening rudimentary subsistence plantations, otherwise known as slash and burn agriculture and cattle pastures. In the Brazilian Amazon, fires generally spread into forests from adjacent agricultural lands. Meanwhile, according to Yale School of the Environment in its online publication, Global Forest Atlas, approximately 450,000 square kilometers of deforested Amazon in Brazil are now in cattle pasture, noting that cattle ranching and soil cultivation are often linked as soil replaces cattle pasture, pushing farmers further into the Amazon. The impact of cattle ranching and deforestation were publicized by conservationists in the early 1980s. At this time, beef export was largely confined to Central America as Brazil's industry was nascent and domestic. However, government incentives for cattle and forest clearing to prove land tenure spurred the industry. Improvement in road and electricity network as well as meat processing facilities contributed as well. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Brazil's cattle industry grew and export exploded with help from the devalued currency. At the same time, much of Brazil's herd was declared free of foot and mouth disease, opening up export market. Albeit, with the rising concerns for global warming, deforestation as a result of cattle ranching is now being discouraged. This is attested to by the fact that the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank cancelled a loan to a large Brazilian cattle company, while the Brazilian government stepped up enforcement of the Forest Code, requiring Amazonian landowners to maintain 80% of their land in forest and forest monitoring. Also, efforts have been made to ensure deforestation-free cattle ranching through certification and promotion of sustainable ranching practices. it is advisable that governors of the southern and western regions in Nigeria enforce the ban on open grazing if they really cared to protect their people from being slaughtered like cows, kidnapped for ransom, and raped mercilessly by herdsmen and bandits who have been identified as Fulanis. More importantly is the unwavering request for restructuring, which governors from these two regions must tender and push vigorously to the federal government, because the present method of administration and security apparatus of the nation can no longer take care of the teeming population in the country. As indicated by Professor Kingsley Moghalu, a former deputy governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, and presidential candidate of the Young People's Party of Nigeria in the build-up to the 2019 general elections, while giving his keynote address at the 6th annual conference of the Nigerian Political Science Association Southeast at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, on the 29th of October 2018, noted that the problem in Nigeria is that its citizens avoid honest dialogue, which sometimes involves telling one another uncomfortable truths, asserting that the cries of marginalization, restructuring, and secessionist tendencies are at their core a cry for justice in the country. He said that some compatriots will go beyond their disagreement with secessionist rhetoric in the southeast, southwest, and south-south to treat their fellow Nigerians with unjustified suspicion because of their beliefs about how Nigeria can be repaired, or indeed if the country should remain one. According to Moghalu, quote, "But such compatriots hurry to gloss over the underlying fundamentals, or even worse, pretend that they don't exist, just as the horrendous massacres in communities across the country by armed herdsmen, with the killings in Benue State as just one example, is inconvenient for them to confront or call it by its name, terrorism. All of this is about leadership that is based on a worldview of us versus them. It is therefore guaranteed to fail." Unquote. Giving a 4-case scenario to why restructuring is needed in Nigeria, Moghalu explained that the first is the case for justice and equity. Second is because of the destabilization that the current conditions have bred, while third is to take care of the fundamentals something refers to as the People's Constitution, and the fourth is that restructuring is the best path to economic transformation, affirming that a six-zone federal structure will offer economies of scale in terms of the ability of a regional government to mobilize adequate tax revenues and utilize these resources for development. In conclusion, with the high rate of insecurity in Nigeria associated with Fulani herdsmen, no sensitive federal system of government should lead its nation with sectional interests when other tribes in the country are not in servitude. This is because such style of leadership will divide citizenry along ethnic lines and institute hostilities between other tribes and the singular tribe where the president comes from. This is the case for Nigeria at the present, and the federal government is at the risk of imploding the nation as a result of its uninspiring, lukewarm leadership, unless there is a drastic and timely change disposition that will convince the citizenry that the federal government of Nigeria is not sectional in dealing with issues relating to Fulanis and the north against other regions and tribes in the country. That was the editorial on stemming the ties of killer open grazing business in Nigeria in 21st century, as composed by our editorial board and read by me. Thank you for watching. Do join us for the next episode of the News Hour on Metro TV, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next episode, stay out of trouble, enjoy life with your family and friends. I remain Emmanuel Oladipo.